Oscar Mabuyane, a name synonymous with power in the Eastern Cape. Born in Nkobo, his story is one of ambition. He walked the halls of Zilimbola Junior Secondary and Lakoa Shandu High. Education was his ticket out. He earned a bachelor's in economics from the University of Fort Hare. Mabuyane's political teeth were cut in student activism. He rose through the ranks of SASCO. In 2009, he was elected ANC Provincial Secretary. In 2017, he became the ANC Provincial Chairperson. But a storm was brewing. Mabuyane, a dominant force in the Eastern Cape, consolidated his power swiftly. In February 2018, he was sworn in as a member of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature. By May 2019, he became the 7th Premier of the Eastern Cape. His leadership promised progress and prosperity. He launched ambitious projects, focusing on job creation and infrastructure. His rhetoric resonated with the people. In May 2022, he was re-elected as ANC Provincial Chairperson. But whispers of corruption began to emerge. The storm clouds were gathering. Mabuyane's meteoric rise was about to hit a major roadblock. The whispers surrounding his academic credentials grew louder, evolving from hushed rumors into a deafening roar. The legitimacy of his master's degree from the University of Fort Hare was being called into question. Was it all a sham? A carefully constructed facade? A bombshell dropped? A forensic report, commissioned to investigate the allegations, sent shockwaves through the Eastern Cape. Its conclusion was damning. Mabuyane's master's degree was undeservedly and fraudulently obtained. The report painted a grim picture of academic dishonesty, alleging that the degree was nothing more than a made-to-order qualification. The University of Fort Hare, once a beacon of hope and academic excellence, was now embroiled in scandal. Accusations flew thick and fast. Was there a degree vending service operating within the institution, catering to powerful politicians like Mabuyane? The scandal deepened, dragging the university's reputation through the mud. Professor Edwin Ijeoma, a name forever linked to the scandal, was accused of being the mastermind behind the alleged scheme. It was alleged that he had irregularly registered several individuals, including Mabuyane, for postgraduate degrees they didn't qualify for. The university launched an investigation, the findings of which would have far-reaching consequences for Mabuyane's political career. Section 4. Lawyers, Lies, and Political Intrigue. The fake degree scandal had ignited a firestorm. Mabuyane, once lauded as a beacon of hope for the Eastern Cape, was now fighting to salvage his reputation. The scandal had exposed the dark underbelly of South African politics, where power and influence often trumped integrity and accountability. In a shocking turn of events, 2 lawyers investigating the degree allegations were apprehended by the Political Killings Task Team. The arrest sent shockwaves through the legal fraternity and beyond. Was this an attempt to silence those seeking the truth? Was Mabuyane using his influence to obstruct justice? Mabuyane vehemently denied any involvement in the arrests, maintaining his innocence throughout the unfolding drama. He cried foul, claiming that he was the victim of a political witch hunt orchestrated by his rivals within the ANC. The plot thickened, leaving the public grappling with more questions than answers. Determined to clear his name and thwart further investigation, Mabuyane turned to the courts. In a strategic legal maneuver, he obtained a court interdict in 2023 to halt the Special Investigating Unit from probing the alleged fraudulent degree registration. The Bisho High Court granted him a provisional interdict, temporarily shielding him from the SIU's scrutiny. Section 5. A toxic brew, politics and organized crime. The fake degree scandal, the arrest of the lawyers, the court interdict. These events painted a bleak picture of the Eastern Cape's political landscape. It was a landscape where the lines between politics and organized crime seemed to blur, where power was often pursued and maintained through questionable means. The parallels between political power dynamics and organized crime were becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Both thrived on power struggles, with individuals or factions vying for control and influence. Both relied on patronage networks, where loyalty was rewarded and dissent was met with swift retribution. Corruption, like a cancer, had seemingly infected the body politic. Bribery, extortion, and other illicit activities flourished in the shadows, undermining the principles of good governance and eroding public trust. Violence and intimidation were often used to silence opposition, enforce loyalty, and maintain control. Was the Eastern Cape a microcosm of South Africa as a whole? Was the country in the grip of a shadow state, where criminal elements held sway over elected officials? These were uncomfortable questions that many were now asking. Section 6. The Eastern Cape, a microcosm of South Africa? The Eastern Cape, once a symbol of hope and liberation, was now grappling with a crisis of conscience. The fake degree scandal had exposed the fragility of its institutions and the vulnerability of its people to the machinations of those in power. Was this a uniquely Eastern Cape problem, or was it indicative of a broader malaise afflicting South Africa? Across the country, allegations of corruption, state capture, and maladministration were rampant. From national government departments to local municipalities, the stench of impropriety filled the air. The lines between serving the public and self-enrichment had become dangerously blurred. The arrest of the lawyers investigating Mabuyane's case raised chilling questions about the state of the rule of law in South Africa. Were those in power above the law? Were they free to act with impunity, silencing those who dared to challenge them? The parallels between political power dynamics and organized crime were becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Both thrived on a culture of fear and silence, where dissent was met with swift and brutal retribution. The very fabric of South African society seemed to be unraveling. Section 7. The uncertain future of Oscar Mabuyane. Oscar Mabuyane, the once unstoppable force in Eastern Cape politics, now found himself at a crossroads. The fake degree scandal had irrevocably tarnished his reputation, casting a long shadow over his legacy. His political future hung precariously in the balance. The SIU investigation, though temporarily halted, loomed large. Should the investigation resume and uncover further wrongdoing, Mabuyane could face criminal charges, potentially ending his political career and landing him in jail. The ANC, grappling with its own internal divisions and facing mounting public pressure to address corruption within its ranks, was under immense scrutiny. Would they continue to support Mabuyane, or would they distance themselves from him in a bid to salvage their own reputation? The people of the Eastern Cape, once hopeful for a brighter future under Mabuyane's leadership, were now left disillusioned and betrayed. The fake degree scandal had shattered their trust, leaving them questioning the very foundations of their democracy. The future of Oscar Mabuyane, once seemingly bright and full of promise, now appeared uncertain and perilous. The fake degree scandal had exposed the fragility of power and the high cost of unchecked ambition. Only time would tell what fate awaited the embattled premier of the Eastern Cape.